Every single athlete you can think of, whether it's LeBron James, they go and they have their warm-up routine that they do before every single game. But most people show up to the office, get on their computer, and just start tackling tasks. They have no warm-up.
You grew a social media following to 70,000 in under a month on TikTok? That's insane.
Can you give me a quick run-through on how to create that? Because I'm unsure on how to create a featured section.
When you put founder in there, what kind of company are you a founder of? Is it B2B? Is it B2C? What kind of business did you start? Did you sell it?
Go into your settings. There's a tab on the left-hand side, visibility, and
it's not possible to implement everything I listened to in an Alex Hormozi episode,
right.
But you like the emotion of consuming that Alex Hormozi content. So you need to give the audience that emotion of feeling like they're getting something of value in addition to getting something of value. Welcome to this episode of the Creator Help Hotline. I've got Jacob with me today. We're going to run through his LinkedIn profile in 8 key areas, see how we can improve it together, and let's hopefully all learn something from this. Welcome, Jacob.
Daniel, thank you. Appreciate the time.
Before we do a deep dive into your LinkedIn profile and try to improve it, can you give us a quick background on yourself?
Certainly. Grew up in Colorado, spent a little time out east at the Lawrenceville School, went to Claremont McKenna out in LA, studied economics and finance, played football while I was there and part of the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Previously, I've been a multi-time founder, everything from a digital agency to a hospitality SaaS company, and just looking forward to upgrading our LinkedIn, and I appreciate your insights.
Awesome. Well, I'll start sharing my screen so we can just get into everything. And I think the first place to start really is, what's your goal for LinkedIn and why you want to start posting and doing everything?
Great question. So hadn't been a big user of LinkedIn for a while, put a little bit more focus into it 6 months ago now. Think that it's a great way to build personal brand. I heard a quote that social media and content creation is one of the strongest levers you can use in terms of getting out there and building your brand, right? So been trying to do that, solidify myself in the financial industry, but also kind of build up my name a little bit in terms of being the younger guy or the new guy in the room, having a social presence, being able to share your ideas and people understand what your thoughts are can present you a bit more thoughtful than just the junior analyst on the team.
I totally agree. Kind of what I'm getting at and hearing from you is that part of it is that career development perspective of the benefit of that, getting you into rooms that maybe you shouldn't necessarily be in. And then the other part is what I think after, reading some of your content before is that part of it is you want to educate your former self, and to the former self that might be reading it, see what value you can add, whether it's summarizing a news article or practicing how to write.
Yep. Nope. Certainly. Building my personal brand, making connections with founders and entrepreneurs and other like-minded people, and been leaning into the content creation side a little bit more here recently. Original posts have been just a variety of deals and things that I find interesting, everything from the AI space to payment platforms and autonomous mobility, but looking to transition that and focus a little bit more on a specific niche, which I'm sure we'll cover later.
Yeah, I think that might be a good place to start, because before
Certainly.
I write down one goal and mission, I think something that's kept Matt and I motivated through the slog of LinkedIn posting, because everyone's going to hit a wall and the first posts aren't going to go viral, is having a goal and mission to always fall back on. So, the mission being you want to educate your former self, or you want to make content you wish you had before you started your job or before you started your company. And that goal is something to go on with your audience. We might not know those right away, but I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about where we want to go? We can also start diving into some of your posts if that's easier and try to figure it out that way. What do you think?
In terms of my goal, if I had to try to make it succinct, almost one-liner would be to create a brand presence that identifies with the person I'm looking to become and connect with founders that help me surround myself with a group of like-minded people. So creating a presence today for the person that I think I would be in 10 or 15 years. So trying to kind of expedite the process.
That makes total sense. And I think we're going to need to shift the goal to almost something you want to go on with your audience, because if I'm reading your content, why should I want to help you meet more founders? it's kind of like one of those things on social media where you, in a way, you have to like humble brag, and it's kind of a weird way to do it on
Right.
LinkedIn. But the best way to achieve that goal might be, okay, I'm trying to publish my learnings from meeting 100 founders. I might be trying to make a guide on one important thing I've learned from meeting 100 founders. And that might be the goal, because then the audience is like, okay, I want to go with Jacob, see what he's learning from all these founders. And then when we eventually hit that goal of meeting 100 founders together, I'll be able to be rewarded for that, also for supporting Jacob along the way.
Understandable. So almost creating a hero's journey per se, bringing the reader or the network along with you on your process or achieving your goal. I see how you're framing it.
Exactly, because then LinkedIn's such an emotional platform where
Right.
you really want to, if someone likes your content, it's not like Instagram where it doesn't project to your network. It does. So you want to kind of make sure that they're okay associating with you, and not just okay, proud to, and then bring their network along with you on your ride. So I kind of like that hero's journey to meet and document 100 founders. I don't know, something we can just write and come back to later. What do you think? Do you have any more ideas of like a specific goal or something you want to do? You don't have to stick to it right now to what we say, and this episode is not set in stone. You can also change it as you go.
Certainly. And where I'm trying to transition my niche and something we discussed previously is figuring out where I'm passionate, where I can write a lot. And initially it was these deals, right? A lot of these deals and the underlying companies are very intriguing to me in the sectors they're in. But then you run into issues with timing, right? You don't want to be glued to the computer, and as soon as a deal breaks or as soon as something happens that you feel obligated to, right? This can create some constraint on creativity. So looking to pivot a little bit more towards how human performance and decision making and psychology can play into different frameworks or habits that founders and investors can use to optimize their lifestyle.
Dude, I love this because, I might have told you before that I was a behavioral decision sciences major at Brown, just really getting into the psychology of things. And I think it's so true, because really the best way, you're never going to be faster than a Bloomberg or a New York Times on breaking a story, but
Right.
you can add a unique the psychology of business take that not a lot of people have on LinkedIn. So that's pretty cool to put the psychology behind business. I know that's a book too. It's a good book. I'm
Yep.
sure you've probably read it.
Certainly. Yeah, I think it's very fascinating, right? There's been times and periods in my life where I've implemented certain frameworks or certain tools, whether it is cognitive tools or physical tools, that have really exponentially increased my output, right? So I remember there was a period during my senior year of college where in the final month I had three final exams, a 40-page thesis I had to complete. I was training for an event. I was working on starting what at the time was Culinary Club, the hospitality business. And I created a framework of what can I do at the end of the month, the end of May? What are my goals? What do I want to see happen? What can I do this week? And then what can I do today? And took those goals for each day and broke them down into time blocks. So I had zero wasted time, and the amount of efficiency that I implemented during that time period, I felt like I did 3 months of work in 4 weeks. And it was so impactful on my output that sharing tools like that, whether it's time-based tools or cognitive frameworks, I think is beneficial for anybody.
I just had a few ideas come to mind.
Yep.
One of the things that makes content creation, you're able to do it for the long term, is having some of these formats. Like when I was posting a lot over the summer, I had an If I Were the CEO format. And one idea I just had for you is psychology stories. And because you can have some about you, some about not you, whether it's about Amazon or Nvidia, but or some about you too, like the story you just told. And I also love a good punchy personal title. And I think sharing the psychology behind business might be a cool one too. So is that what you think you want to write about? You think you want to write about like how psychology weaves into business?
Right. So the niche is a mix of human decision making and performance. So I think output can be optimized in two ways. One, mentally, and two physically, right? So you can optimize your mental frameworks, how you think about things, how you address certain biases in your decision-making tools, but also how can you physically optimize yourself? How can you prime your brain each day to compete? How can you create a routine? How can you sleep better? How can you use more human performance techniques like as an athlete in business, right? One of the pieces that I was writing and looking into the other day was the idea of a mental warm-up, right? So every single athlete you can think of, whether it's LeBron James or anyone else, they go and they have their warm-up routine that they do before every single game. But most people show up to the office, get on their computer, and just start tackling tasks. They have no warm-up, where it's athletes do it all the time and is a clear driver to their success. But professionally, we'd never think of doing that. So, right, like how can you weave that in to make you a better investor, founder, whatever your profession is?
That's a fascinating story, and that would really make a great post. I can't wait to read that one, and I'm almost speechless. That's such an impactful story. I can't wait to read more of these. Honestly, like it's that thing. It's like it's so obvious. It's like, why don't we have a warm up routine? Or I'm trying to think now about how I can do this for myself. So I think that would be great. So I'm trying to think of like some sort of repeatable format we can call this. Psychology stories could be one. I like that we're splitting it up into mental and non-mental because, as you probably know, with psychology, if you have buckets to think about things, it makes it much easier.
Right.
Do you have any other ideas for like formats, format names?
Names of formats, I haven't thought of too much. The original post I was doing, I titled 1 minute reads. Oftentimes I see articles or posts on LinkedIn that are 800, 1,000 words. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to sit there for 3, 4, 5 minutes and read this entire post. But if someone can break down an entire deal and its analysis into 200 words and give it to me in a minute or less, almost like an elevator pitch, I think it's a lot more consumable for an end user. And that was the original kind of framework that I built off of, but haven't put a ton of thought into titling of these future posts yet.
Okay. I like 1 minute reads. I like psychology story. Continue to think about more. Honestly, it might be good to just get into your profile right now and start changing some stuff.
Let's do it.
First, I like a good punchy personal title because if someone's scrolling the feed, as I am right now, you're gonna like see someone's title, especially if you're commenting, for example.
Yep.
You're gonna look at it and like global business development, like I don't know if I'm gonna click on that profile, president at Chapman Real Estate, like that doesn't really give me a reason to click.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like sharing the psychology behind business. That might be another one. Another one could be, and I would always make the joke with my friends at Brown that I'm an athlete, because a lot of people call themselves student athletes. But I would sometimes make a joke and say I'm an athlete student. And I wonder what it can be for like a business person or an analyst. Like, I don't know. You kind of know what I mean? Like, I wonder if there's some punchy thing like oh yeah, that's kind of funny. This guy's funny. And it could like an analyst athlete, but it might come to me later.
Yeah.
But
I certainly relate to that though. That and honestly, something that I never thought of, that when you're commenting or posting or scrolling feed, how you have your name and then you have the opportunity to give maybe 50 or 80 characters on who you are, right? So grabbing attention there is obviously a lot more impactful than I thought. Currently just have analyst and founder as kind of what I do and where I've been, but can see how something a lot punchier, more attention grabbing can definitely increase your kind of click through rate.
LinkedIn is the next TikTok has been huge for me because the reality is when you put founder in there, it's like what kind of company are you a founder of? Is it B2B? Is it B2C? What kind of business did you start? Did you sell it, or did it fail? Like, is it just a lemonade stand? But okay, so we'll keep that on the back burner. Next is your name. And I'm curious how it came up as Jacob F. I don't know if that's a privacy setting or...
I'm not sure.
Can you change that now? Or
honestly, something I've never noticed because I always view it on the internal side and it shows my full name. So let me see. This is something.
You have your LinkedIn pulled up? I'm kind of curious.
I do.
The audience might have to make sure they're changed too, because the reason that this is important to not just have your first name and initial.
Yeah.
It's harder to discover. When I was looking up Jacob's profile before this, I was having trouble coming up with where it was. And if more people can find you in search, then that's better for your growth and everything.
Right, of course. When you're looking for me specifically and I come up as the fourth or fifth person down, obviously that's not ideal.
Yeah, because there are probably a lot of Jacob F's.
I'm sure. Pretty common name. Let me see. I think
And to your banner image, I can send you a new template too with a lot of the stuff I have, but it would be good with this to make a banner, which is almost like your hook number 2 after the personal title.
Yeah.
Saying, if you have the sharing the psychology behind business, the banner could say, follow for daily stories on how to be a better athlete at work.
perfect.
Like
Also,
professional work athlete.
yeah, like a mental athlete, something like that.
I like mental athlete.
Yeah, a way that you can kind of mix together the mental side, but also the physical side.
We're gonna figure something out by the end. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna send you
Also,
this template after.
fantastic. Feel free to give the
Hit me.
page a refresh. I might have been able to fix the naming issue.
See, Jacob Fenton 24. Let's go. We're
There
dialed.
we go.
What did you
There we go.
change?
Yeah, so go into your settings. There's a tab on the left-hand side, visibility, and an option under visibility of your profile and network, who can see my last name. If you click on that, I think the default is first name, last initial, and then the other option is full name, so you can switch it in there.
Okay, we're dialed off that now. Everyone's gonna know. Plug up Jacob Fenton. Okay, so moving into the about section. Okay, so this is okay. And one thing I like that you have in your about section that a lot of people make the mistake of is they just repeat everything in their experience section. And you didn't do that, which I think is great. But I think there are a little too many buzzwords in here
Yeah,
because you want to think about your profile as almost like a movie trailer where you're giving people a lot of the exciting parts about you, but there's something missing and they need to follow you to get that next thing. And if there was a goal of writing down your takeaways or comparing 100 something to psychology, that would be something to follow for, or like following for lessons about how I can level up my game at work to be sharper mentally without being better at my job, or however you
yeah,
can phrase that. But I think that's what we should put in here, almost like your pitch for. So I think the about section should really be the pitch for why to be a mental athlete at work in under 6 sentences. I love that yours is very concise though. Like, to me, this reads well. Like you've got like 2 or 3 sentences, a lot of line spaces, and it's clear.
mhm.
So we're on the right place. We just need a better pitch as we're refreshing it.
Agreed. Yeah, right now
Maybe,
it's pretty general in terms of just looking to connect with people and meet founders and investors. But I think framing it as I liked your movie trailer analogy and having the about section almost as your value prop on why someone would follow you, why they'd want to consume your content's great. Great point.
do you have any posts that went pretty viral? Because that would be good to put in the. Oh wow. Okay, so you've only posted 8 or 9 times, whatever it is. Okay, so maybe
Right.
no featured section yet. When you do, I'm gonna repost it, and hopefully we will have a super viral post. And when you're ready for a featured section, that'll pretty much be putting your most viral post to do like social proof. This
Hmm.
guy's worth following, and then also give them maybe like post number 1 of 100 if you're on a journey to do 100 business stories, just to give them like a sense of where you started and where you're going to.
Understandable. I like that. Possibly a novice question, but possibly useful for other people viewing this. Can you give me a quick run through on how to create that? Because I'm unsure on how to create a featured section.
Yep, I'll show you mine. So here's my featured section,
Yep.
and I'll just take a post like this one. This one's, not doing so well. And then you can literally just in the top thing, just say feature on top of profile,
Awesome.
and then do that. And now if we go back, bang, it's up there. And
Sweet.
then now I'm going to remove it. And it's that easy. I forgot how easy that was.
So yeah, something I never thought of, but I can definitely
Okay.
see how that is. It's very similar to like the pinned section on other platforms.
On mobile too, only the first one comes up. So this first one will be super big, just so you know too. So the first one
Awesome.
is the most important in the featured section. But it's almost like on Instagram, it's where everyone used to go to like flex and everything. And then it became
Yeah.
much more casual where people are posting more. And the featured turned into where everyone flexes. And that's kind of the same on LinkedIn. Like it started as a post is a huge flex, but now it's starting to be just the featured section.
Noted.
Instagram's or LinkedIn is a lot like Instagram in the early days, especially where like there's a lot of follow for follow, which is like the connection
Yeah.
requests.
Yeah.
Let's get into your experience though. A lot of solid. You got a lot of good experiences. What's the Intuitive Foundation?
Intuitive Foundation started about 7 years ago. It helps to connect entrepreneurs, technologists, and operators across many of the top universities in the country. We work with Cal Berkeley, MIT, Carnegie Mellon, but the thesis or idea behind it is that the best ideas should never get stuck in the lab. So it's turning ideas or very technical people who love to build and create and helping them intentionally find operators and hustlers, what we call our entrepreneurs or the business side of people, to help them scale and grow businesses. We've seen that oftentimes co-founders are connected serendipitously or through someone in class, your roommate, whatever. But if there's true intentionality behind who you start your company with, there's a lot higher chance of success. So working to make those connections or collisions, as we call them.
I love that you call them collisions too. It's pretty cool. And to me, this is like what you said is awesome, but this doesn't totally tell me that. And so what I would do is even for all these, with the exception of PrimeRes, they're all pretty long too, and they look like you're just copy and pasted from your resume. So
More or less.
I would first get rid of all the, yeah, like starting with a verb on every single one, which is good.
Yeah.
It's what you want to do in your resume. But you want to use more plain English on the LinkedIn profile so I can get a sense of, what Intuitive Foundation is, what you do for it, and why I may want to join it or help you with whatever you're doing on Intuitive Foundation. So although I will say, like, I like how brief this is. You could change it to something like, built a website that books reservations at exclusive restaurants across the U.S. In 4 months, a team of 4 and I, like, and then, so like, if I were to do this, I'm just going to show you an example. In PrimeRes is a website that books you reservations at exclusive restaurants like the U.S. team. We 250 put ARR. And I kind of like how it's got the line drop. You're giving an example, like maybe some restaurants they used to do, and then you have some metrics. Maybe you could say like what you did too. Like if you're the developer, like or I guess you're the founder. I don't know if like you're the only founder or the co-founder or whatever it was. If you were solo, cool.
Noted.
Most
I
people
think,
probably won't get it down here.
right.
What are you gonna say? Sorry.
No, I think this is very helpful, right? So as like you pointed out, a lot of this is pretty identical to the resume, right? But you coming across this page don't necessarily understand what the service is, what I built, how I was involved, more just on like some of the metrics I used to or kind of achieve through the business. I like your idea of kind of explaining it, making it more comprehensive for the person viewing. It also, I think, creates a lot more conversation or ability to reach out on these points.
Yeah, because and the reason I'm taking the time to help you, like even with the smallest details of like I want to edit this in a second, is if you're putting the time into these small details, like if someone looks at your profile and they see like it's hard to understand and they think you didn't put that much time into it, they may not want to put that much time into accepting your connection request or putting the time into building a relationship with you. And if you can show the hard work you put into even the smallest details, like this about experience section on your LinkedIn profile, you're showing that person that you care about the details and you're someone that's worth talking to. Like with this in vision marketing, You grew a social media following to 70,000 in under a month on TikTok. That's insane. That's so impressive. You should lead with that. And like that puts you in like the top 1% of people on social media, period. So you should lead with that as because that's getting lost in this, you know?
I completely agree.
Like you can even use because the key also is to use plain English because and I don't know why we were taught in school to try to use a lot of these fancy words and try to sound boring. But the reality is, when you're doing this, like on the movie trailer, what connects with the human is the emotion. So
Right.
if you're saying like, I started a marketing, I don't know what it is, but like agency with my friends in high school and worked with companies like Bon Appetit to get them press at colleges across America. For one client, we built them a TikTok account to 70,000 followers in 28 days. Then we all went to school. Or whatever it is.
Hmm.
But something like that where it's like, it's more understandable. And I would do a similar thing for these as well. I love how you have the skills on here. That's one thing that not a lot of people optimize for, and I actually have my skills maxed out because there was some person on LinkedIn talked about how having more skills in your profile is good, and I forget which post this was, but I did a post about it, and a lot of other people added their skills, and it's really helped them grow too. So it's good that you have the skills on here as well.
Certainly. Touching back on that rewrite you just had, do you think, even though it might come across slightly less formal, that the added emotion writing in that format connects a lot better with people, even though it might portray a slightly less professional kind of brand?
I think this was my first go at it, so you don't want to make it sound like it's a fine line to cross. It is, but I tend to, and it's also my style to be a
Right.
little bit more personal and less formal. But if I were to if I were someone who was maybe going to hire you to market my business or, maybe consult you for advice, if I see that, if I read this, like, this is a clearer read for me than this. And I think some people might prefer these bullet points that sound more like a resume. But yeah, I think it just gets down to personal style. Either way, I think this can be improved. But like, do you need to be this casual? No. Like my co-host, Matt Huang, if you look at his BCG thing, like he said made lots of beautiful PowerPoint slides. And it's fine for him because he's like got like 150,000 subs on YouTube and like is doing really well. So, do you need to be this casual? No. You should just find what you're most comfortable with is what you should do.
Understandable.
So yeah, I would just take a look and as you go through them, feel free to email or text me any of these and I will
Yep.
give you my honest feedback. But it's impressive you have all these good experiences. And yeah, fire, you've got skills on here too, which I was going to point out. Give you some likes too, of course. Got to support the brand. Okay, so we've pretty much gone through a lot of this. I think it's now just time to think about what we want to post and things we want to post. So maybe it might be good to think of other examples. I mean, because I'm pretty new to this format too, but like, LeBron versus Work Rob. Any other post ideas you had? Because also, what's great, and then, sorry, I keep interrupting you, is if the key, and I think this is great you already started before this call, because the key to never burning out of content is to have a bank of 2 weeks of content. And I was just talking to Kevin Baker, who is, in my opinion, the funniest guy on LinkedIn. He's going to be on a future episode. And what he said is you have to have a banger for a rainy day, because there are going to be days and weeks where you have a billion content ideas and then following weeks where you have zero. So having that 2 week, you're not going to be pressured to be like, oh my God, I got to get something out. What am I going to do? And then your quality is going to be worse. So it's very smart of you to start doing. And if you have any more ideas, I'd love to hear them. And then I'll try to think of formats around it.
Awesome. Yeah. Have been going through almost ready, drafted all, and then in kind of pre-post edits on most of them. But so far in the bank, we have everything from decision fatigue and how routines around that can help you prolong your focus throughout the day, the ability to use breath work to recenter yourself before important pitches or calls, the warm-up one, which we spoke about, the importance of sleep and how a lot of people measure output in hours work, but never talk about how much they're sleeping and how that leads to knowledge retention, taking small resets throughout your day to refocus your attention and your angles, your ability to say no and how saying no can actually be a lot more useful and like precise with how you use your time, saying yes, overconfidence bias, and how early wins can have investors or founders stray away from their guiding principles, the connection between dopamine motivation and burning out, creating habits based on identity, not on things you want to do, choice architecture around product and structuring your team, having too many open items and how that can drain your cognitive load, writing not only on why things work, but why things fail. Oftentimes we're very focused on this worked, let's try to figure out how we can make other things work, but never really look at, wow, this investment was horrible, or this product we tried to ship was no one used it. Why did those not work? So those are some of the initial ideas right now.
These are great, and I'm like just trying to think of ways to frame it. I think something that Matt and I talk a lot about, and I think gets a lot of talk on social media right now, is A/B tests. And it could be interesting to almost have an A/B version of these posts. And here's kind of what I mean. So you have a graph, and I'll share these templates with you too. And you'll say, employee A is getting 8 hours of sleep and is whatever. And then employee B loves watching LeBron James. He has a warm-up routine, so he has a warm-up routine. So every day he's going to the office, and we should all try to be more like employee A. That might just be something to where we can all kind of relate to being one of these people, and it can be the psychology of why we should change our behavior too. That might be a good example. I don't know. What do you think?
I like it. I think the way I'm writing them is to try to present the idea, how it solves a problem, what most people miss, something like that, and then how can it be useful. I've seen a lot of content that's theoretical, but what I relate to most as a user is things that I can actually implement. How does my time reading this actually benefit me? If you're just telling me something that's completely conceptual and I'm like, oh, cool, maybe smarter, I don't know how to implement this. But if you say, create a consistent routine before you go into calls. You see this in the NBA in free throw routines, 2 dribbles, deep breaths, take your free throw. But a lot of people will just pick up the phone, dial, and have a super important conversation. So how can you create a small routine? Is that you take 2 deep breaths, or you do something else, a way that before every single call you make or every single pitch, you have the same routine. It primes your body to know that every single time I do this routine, I'm about to step into something. This happens a lot in competitive lifting as well. Like every time you hit your heaviest set or you max or whatever, you listen to the same exact song. So that when that song comes on and you hear it, like you're ready to go. It's a whole separate mindset, and it helps to prime your body. So just something I thought of there as well.
Yeah. I think this is such a great mission too, because you're really trying to make everyone a better employee with psychology. So it can also be like backed by brain snacks for your desk job. I don't know. You're going to be able to think about a lot of these things, but as long as there's 63 characters, it won't get cut off right here. That's what that's what you should think of as you're making them. Mm-hmm. And this is honestly something I can't wait to learn more about. Some quick tips about this one. Normally, we say don't include the link previews here. So, like if I were to put a link in, I would click X on that final post screen, because then it's taking the traffic off LinkedIn. And if I were to write one of those stories, I'm going to take one of my posts as an example. We can even use I wonder if this one had it. So this one, I wrote about LinkedIn being like Tiger Woods. Everyone has their thing. And at the end, I have a takeaway. So what I would do is I would honestly do the same thing for you. If I were for the LeBron post, I would say every NBA player has a warm-up routine. Every has a warm-up routine. yet corporate employees don't yet. And then I would get into the story. And instead of saying the takeaway, I would say the way to improve your work could be something like that. Or you could have one where it's like employee A goes to work and checks emails on their phone on the way to the office. Employee B doesn't check emails till 10 a.m. Here's why I'd rather be employee B. Now, one more thing too, I don't know if I have it up in this one, is as I'm doing this, what I would do is take this. These are going to be a little lengthier. Put it in this thing. This is literally a free tool. So you can see on desktop here, you might want to do something like this to try to make it so it can go on the line. So you can see here's why I'd rather be employee B, and checks their phone on the way. Something like that. See how it gets optimized too? So I'm kind of all over the place with all the advice, but this is literally a free tool that I'll put in here that I'll share with you. That when you're writing these posts out, it's super helpful that you can do. I don't know. What do you have any immediate thoughts on that? I think employee A versus employee B could be good. Yet corporate employees don't. Just kind of showing the craziness to it.
Right.
I actually don't mind the 1 minute reads either.
Do you think having a consistent format is beneficial, or do you think most posts should have a different type of flow?
The only way for you to do content long term and for you to have like a great audience is to have a consistent format. But the hard part is to find what consistent format works. So you're probably going to have to try more, like you got to try at least 20, like at least 20 1 minute reads. You got to try at least 20, employee A versus employee B. You might want to try at least 20 mental frameworks for your desk, at least 20 psychological stories and how they impact business or whatever it is. And then whichever like highest performing post you have out of all those, then just try that format. Because when, like, for example, if I see your stuff and I'm like, the psychology stories of business, I love that. I'll read 20 of those in a row. And then maybe, for another 20% of your content, you'll talk about a business or something. But that makes it easy for you to create content at scale and also for your audience to consume and binge at scale.
Understandable.
So that's why I spend so much time on it.
Yeah, no, I think it's super important. Would you have that kind of titling in the post itself or just use it as your framework? Right? Because in my posts, the 1 minute read ones, the very first line of each is 1 minute read and how I title it. I don't know if having that same header per se in post has anything to do with algorithm or if that's a positive or negative.
I mean, honestly, you only have like 6 posts, so it's not that much data to rock with. But if I were you, I would put 1 minute read in the headline every time. Have it be the first line because that can kind of be part of your personal brand. So when, people see your profile, they're like, okay, this is Jacob's account and I know I'm going to get a good value with one key way I can improve my desk employee mental, whatever it is, every time I see a post. And there's some things that can go across formats. Like after every format, you can put the way to improve your work
right
at the end. Like that would be helpful to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's demonstrating clear value because as you know, with emotion, you can't just give the audience value because if we were to consume self-help and development content just because we liked it, then the world would be such a better place. Like it's not possible to implement everything I listen to in an Alex Hormozy episode, but you like the emotion of consuming that Alex Hormozy content. So you need to give the audience that emotion of feeling like they're getting something of value in addition to getting something of value. That's what the best of the best content creators do.
Great way to put it.
I'm so excited to see your content because I've also started to dabble into posting more about emotion. And you can honestly look at some of my posts that have done well, if any of these, because you should honestly take some of these formats if they're doing well. This one wasn't as good. This was a very casual one and it did pretty well. Like, see, this was, very casual hook. Like 17,000. Maybe I didn't put much emotion in them. I don't know. If I have an emotion one that blows up, I'll send it to you. So thank you, Jacob, for coming on this episode. In a future episode, maybe looking at how Jacob's posts have done, if what I said was helpful at all, and seeing how we can improve your profile and post even more. Thanks again,
Certainly.
Jacob.
Daniel, appreciate all the advice. Looking forward to implementing this. Hopefully I'll be able to have a discussion soon.
Text me your email too, and I can send you this Google Doc, because this video probably won't be posted for 2 weeks.
No worries. Perfect. I appreciate it. I'll look forward to your email.
All right. Peace.